I don't know who made the change from colors to tick boxes, but it's definitely better than it was before. So thanks
That
for
was
that
something
for
that somebody took on while you were gone. I was like, I don't want to do it, but anybody can do it that wants to do it. And we did have I did make sure that the announcements were in or the agenda is in the invite. So if anybody's looking for it, it's in the invite now. Roxanne
Oh,
did that
that's
for us.
great. Thanks.
No problem. It was mainly for me because I was like, I can't remember where this is at. I'd eventually find it, but it took me a while. It took me a minute.
Hello.
Um, Hello. Hi, Jason. How are you?
Oh, trying
Oh,
to get a
good
funny,
morning.
always fun.
Okay, I'd say let's get started. It's 3 past, no, 4 past now. So welcome everyone to the TOC meeting. Today is May the 21st. Yeah, as usual, the meeting is being recorded. Um, yeah, so see, we have a couple of things on the agenda for today. So, well, SIG updates. I don't know if you have any updates from the various interest groups. If not, you can just skip this.
I can just give a quick one.
Sure.
So
Thanks.
on the SIG. Uh, so the CICD cybersecurity SIG continues to kind of clip away. We finally have a nice kind of, I would say, cadence of figuring out how to update the document. Anne Marie Fred did an amazing job of a first pass at the code and pre-build steps. And the team walked through it to make sure that it was accurate, and they added some more tooling to it. So that it seems to be going along well. I don't think we'll have enough to announce it for June, but we may. So we might think about having Roxanne do a proper announcement, but maybe after June. I think the document has to get farther along. Now that we have a way of updating it and people understand what they're supposed to be doing, I think more work will get done quicker. On that note, I have asked for a room in Denver to do a CICD cybersecurity focus group. This is one opportunity we have where we have folks from the OpenSSF there, we have open source contributors there, and we have CD DevOps people there. So I believe this is an important time for us to start asking questions about why the DevOps pipeline isn't evolving into a DevSecOps pipeline fast enough. Why do we have less than 50% of workflows, way less than 50% of workflows doing SBOMs? What can be some of the new tools that we should be thinking about? One of them is software bloat. Should we be debloating open source packages? Ortelius is working on doing auto remediation pull requests. What are the gaps right now in security that the CI/CD pipeline should be fixing? So I'm hoping that I can get the room. I've requested it. Roxanne's working on it. I reached out to the OpenSSF new community director, and she's going to try to see if she can't put some pressure on them to give us a room. And so it could be a room that we could use. I asked for 2 hours on Tuesday. So it could be a room that we could use to do kind of an on-site board meeting and then lead this focus group. So that's what I've been busy doing. And of course, I always do it without
Thanks,
asking you
Tracy.
guys first. I just do it and then tell you it's going to happen. Which seems to be an easier way to go about things sometimes.
Yeah, no, that's brilliant. Thanks, Tracy. Let's hope we we get the room so that the team can meet there.
Yeah, it would be good. And then, if we do get the room, what my plan was is to reach out to all the speakers at OpenSSF at their community day, reach out to the speakers that are speaking at CDCon, and ask if they would be willing to meet with us. Now that could be, somebody's going to miss because they have a talk, but at least that would be a beginning. Because I have no idea. We don't have access to who's attending CDCon or OpenSSF community days, but those are the people we need in the room. But I can get Roxanne to send something out on it. We might be able to do a quick blog that says we're doing this focus group and this is the meeting room, and also get OpenSSF to do it. So I'm trying to pull together in the next 6 weeks or a month now, 5 weeks.
Yeah, it's getting really close now. Well,
And Jason, we would love to have more of a discussion with that about, Spinnaker stages for SBOM generation.
Yeah, could do a whole separate, and if you ever want to set something up for a discussion, I'm happy to discuss more. I know the best example that I've seen is when it's easy to do, people do it. When it's not, people don't do it.
That's the thing. It's when that's how we are. And right now, when nobody really wants to touch their workflows, that's what I'm hearing. There's too many, and they don't want to touch it. So I think that we have to have that discussion.
And I will call it Harness has had native SBOM stuff as part of its security stuff, and I've seen that a lot more once it became native and easy to just, oh yeah, you add a step and it's done kind of thing. Um, so in larger companies that can template and manage sort of golden paths, it's a lot more viable than it is without some of that. Just an interaction.
Yeah, well,
But
on that topic, Jason, we'd love to reach out to you on a separate call regarding Ortelius, because if you integrated at the Ortelius level, then we would generate the SBOM, track where it was deployed, and then be able to produce post-deployment critical vulnerabilities back to the user.
yeah, and happy to discuss some of that as a separate conversation if you'd like. I'm in the Slack. Feel free to ping me, and I can
Will
do a lot
do.
of that.
And this is
And maybe
mainly
that can
for
be,
container deployments.
yes, it could be for a
Is
container deployment or any type of deployment. We wouldn't, I don't think the type of deployment matters as much as the fact that we're sending something off to an end user
yeah, we
for
have
any type
something
of
similar.
artifact.
Yeah, we have something similar at Yahoo. It's not a built-in feature, but more of like Jason was mentioning, we have happy paths, golden happy paths, and it's built into those paths. So it sorts of takes care. The SBOM generation happens during the CI phase. Then at the Kubernetes clusters, we have admission controllers who verifies that. That's when we bubble up the vulnerabilities and all sort of things. I know we could do more, but that's the workflow we have today.
Yeah.
It's not like we don't have coverage, but there is coverage, but it's varying bits and pieces with scattered ownership.
Yeah, I think let's definitely I would welcome a deeper conversation on this. And that's exactly what I see is it's in golden pipelines. Everybody has a golden pipeline or a set of those, and that's how they do it. So maybe this is more of an awareness thing than it is an actual problem.
Well, the
I don't,
the part of the problem with SBOMs is just because you generate them doesn't mean it's kind of a checkbox step. Okay, we generate an SBOM, right? So we need to elevate the SBOM, and this is the whole reason why I want to have this focus group. We need to have this. We need to have a more in-depth chat about this stuff. So
yeah,
this is exactly the purpose of having that focus group. Because we need to stay, as the CD Foundation, we need to stay as relevant as we can. We need to be the ones with the thought leadership and bringing these ideas forward. And we just don't see enough from the CD Foundation around that. I just don't think we do that good of a job because we're sort of comfortable in our workflows. And the other two working groups is best practices and ML ops, which I don't even think is very active anymore. I've tried attending those meetings and it's not. So we just need to think in terms of, as the TOC, what are we doing to further the conversation to continue improving pipelines, regardless of the best practices? Because
Just
this may not have been invented yet, right?
well, one of the thoughts, and this is something that I have seen even everywhere, is what should pipelines look like? And the best example is Google and Waze a number of years ago published what they called reference pipelines on how Waze was doing canary deployments. And maybe that's something that's needed is the CD Foundation can say, here's standard pipelines for Spinnaker and Jenkins, and here's the integration points with Ortelius or other solutions. And we publish a set of, okay, if you're in Spinnaker, here's a reference pipeline you can use to rapidly deploy that you should be using as a reference framework. Those golden pipelines, if you will, at least as starting points.
Siva, for some reason we can't hear you. Your mic is not working.
So with Jenkins, there was really not a concept when it was created of any of the templating, and because of that, you just can't change. There's no concept of a golden pipeline. It's 50 million pipelines that have to all be updated individually. So that's part of the dilemma that we are struggling with on the Jenkins side. Andrea, does Tecton have the concept of templating pipelines?
To a certain degree. I mean, Tectum does reusability at step level or task level, so you can reuse those.
Right.
I mean, you can reuse an entire pipeline, but if you want to inject things into a pipeline, there are a few ways you can do that. But it's not like a fully answered question. So because it's Kubernetes resources, some people do templating, so using customize or those kind of things.
Right.
Other people use some kind of hooks to start off other custom stuff out of the standard pipeline. So there are a variety of approaches. There's a feature we are working on that is kind of embedding pipeline in pipeline. That is also meant to help with that, so that you
Right.
can have like your pipeline triggering the kind of a golden pipeline and then doing some other stuff on top.
Yeah.
Yeah, Jenkins, we used to just say, okay, here's your Jenkins file that just loads Groovy code from a shared repository, and that's how we got around it.
Screwdriver does have that inbuilt. We call it pipeline templates. A pipeline can include a pipeline template which expands to multiple jobs, and you can customize that, add new, modify a job, add new steps. This is something we did relatively recently, like the year before or something.
So, given all this, I'm going to toss a proposal in. Would it be good for each of the projects to say, hey, define a golden template or at least a set of standard pipelines that people can use as references for each of the projects and publish them someplace?
Well, when we get into these conversations, we're getting back to best practices, and that should be pushed back to the best practices team. But my conversation is, what are we not doing? There are gaps in the offerings that nobody's even investigated and looked to see if we should be using in our pipelines. The OpenSSF has got tons, but several new projects that I don't think anybody's even considered putting in a pipeline or why we would do it. So I don't know if it's just a matter about having these golden pipelines. And certainly I've been in Andrea has been involved in, many of us have been involved in CD events trying to create these standard, kind of a standard way to build these pipelines. But I want to talk about the next generation of DevOps, not what we should have been doing in the past. I think most companies have their golden pipelines, and they're not going to change them because we say that this is going to be a better way to see it. How can we use AI to improve how we manage pipelines? What tooling should we be adding to it and that we haven't even started developing? That's what I want to talk about. Because we can do better in DevOps. We can do way better than just building and deploying software. I believe, anyway. That's why I was so interested in CD events.
Yeah, there is well, in CD events specifically, there is some a new project, some new experimentation that is starting in that area. Basically, the idea is to be able to have a component where you can express kind of the events that you expect. And so to help you basically orchestrate and put your business logic that you want to have in your overall workflow through the events. So say, well, if I expect a certain number of change events or test events, and then if they have received them, I want to do the next thing, I want to do a deployment and so forth. So basically, yeah, so we are starting a new component where you can embed that business logic and express what are the events and kind of the segments that you're expecting as part of your software development lifecycle.
That will be see those are the kinds of I think those are the kinds of topics we need to get out there. Because what's the next generation CI/CD platform? What does it look like? It doesn't look like what we're doing today.
Yeah, no, that's a great question. I mean, with CD events, the hope we had for the project was that we could have like event-driven, CI/CD, where you could have a lot of the tools and components that we use today connected through events. But yeah, one of the beats that is missing to make that possible is to have some way to orchestrate these events and to embed your business logic there. So that's the next project that is starting in that space. That's something that is driven by Tadezi and Ben from Apple. So yeah, I'm sure there will be more news and updates about that as it starts. Yes, Mark.
So Andrea,
Hi.
if you can give a little bit more description, so that I was thinking my mental model for CD events is it's a way to solve reduce the interoperability problem from me having to do point to point development. I must create an integration that connects Ortelius and Jenkins, and it connects Ortelius and GitHub. Instead, CD events was giving me a general purpose way to say, hey, there are some things that are common for all these. And if I talk to CD events, it will talk to the endpoints and do a good enough job for me. So, but this new next generation thing is more on the receiver side. They say, hey, if I see these things, then I should know to take some specific action. Or
Yeah, so because CD events are declarative and they give you information about what's going on, we've always had kind of two use cases. One is you can collect the data and put it in a kind of evidence store and use it for auditing purposes and so forth. Or you can use the events to actually trigger parts of your workflow, react to them. The problem is we didn't really want to get to a place where each and every project have to implement their component to react to the event. And I mean, you can do it in all the components, but then you end up having your business logic spread around all the different tools, basically. Right. So, and the idea with this new tool is that you can have like a single tool where you can express the workflows that you want to see, and all the events from the different tools are going into there. And then from there, you can call to APIs to trigger the various things that you want to do.
So
What?
the concept is there's then a way to put business logic into the CD events orchestrator, if you will, into the CD events router thing.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. Let me share this link here. The name of the project is Conduit. I mean, for now, it's a project proposal. We created a repository so that folks can start experimenting, but there's nothing to be seen except for the proposal. But yeah, I linked the proposal in there, so if folks are interested and want to dig more into it.
Thanks. Thank you. Thanks for the link.
Yeah, and I think that's something some company have been doing to use events to coordinate their workflows for custom components, and the idea is to try and do this in open source. Yeah, I mean, I imagine going back to what you were saying, Tracy, with AI, it's an interesting. There is an interesting opportunity for sure to apply AI here. I don't know if part of that business logic could be driven by some intelligent component or.
Well, I definitely think we're at a point in time where there is we're at a fork in the road, let's say it that way. And I believe that the CD Foundation, we don't want to miss out on going, the right direction and being thought leaders in the space. Because DevOps data is pretty critical, and we don't do enough with it. And I think that over the years, while it worked for us then, I think that our pipelines have to become better and smarter and faster, and adjust to changes in the environment that we find ourselves in. And while we practice Agile, I don't believe for a minute that our CI/CD pipelines are Agile whatsoever. And they should be. But there's a lot of pieces that we're putting together, and we've taped it together and held it together with duct tape. And I just feel like this is a discussion we should be having. And I don't know what form we have it in, but that's why I said, okay, I'm just going to ask for a room for a CI/CD cybersecurity focus group. And let's see if we can get together and start talking about it. And maybe we can get some of the bigger players back, as members and interested in helping to solve the problem. Because we need to have, now, and this is a topic for the governing board, but at the same time, the TOC needs to be making recommendations to how we can get, some premier members again. It's essential for our survival.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. And I think, I mean, for the going back to the Conduit project, I think if that is successful, at least once we have a prototype that might help, showing like CD events in action. That is one of the things that we were wanting to do with the implementation working group. because yeah, with the events alone, it's difficult to showcase what you can do with them. So you need to have like components around them to let you actually do things. But yeah, yeah, I tried to capture a few of the things. If we do get the room at CDCon, I think maybe we can, take these ideas and put them as agenda topics for that event and try to discuss about them. Great, thanks for the initiative, Tracy. This looks really interesting, and yeah, I agree. We need to. It would be really great for CD Foundation to drive thought around DevOps and CI/CD and think forward, think about the next generation of CI/CD. Those are all great points. Cool. Just thinking. Well, June is not too far away, so if the event can happen there at the conference, we can have those conversations there. Otherwise, if that's not possible, we might try to do something virtual later on then.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Maybe we can try to pull together a Zoom discussion on it. So we'll see what happens. And maybe we pull it together and do have maybe a focus group series, and we pick topics and so that we can focus in on these certain areas.
Okay. Anything else from the cybersecurity group or yeah on this topic? All right. Then we have just a few updates. The time is coming for our project updates, Q2 updates. So we are asking for projects to please submit the updates by June the 10th. And then, yeah, Q1, Q2 updates will be used in the state of CDF report session at CDCon. So we need to have them in time for that. Then something that Roxanne reported, one of our TOC members, Damian Curry from NGX, his email does not longer work. So, well, first of all, we were wondering whether anyone has heard from him, or is his new contact. And the other thing is that 4 of the seats, including Damian's seats, are lasting until June the 30th. So we'll need to think about election for those. So that's me, Mark, Steve, and Damian. And then, yeah, but there's still some time for that. In terms of project representative, as you were saying, Jithin Bonnie left Yahoo. So it's great to have you back, Jithin, here in the meeting. So thanks for joining us today. And then last thing from Roxanne, the CDF awards voting is started. So Roxanne sent a voting link to all the TOC members. So if you didn't receive it, please reach out to Roxanne and let me know, just to make sure everyone get the opportunity to vote.
I don't think I got a invite. Did anybody else?
I
I
did.
don't recall seeing an invite.
It was
It should
it was
be a
just like a
Google form.
reminder email from Roxanne.
Ah,
And
I'll
it
have to
came
go dig
directly
in.
from Roxanne? Huh.
I'm pretty sure it did. I'd have to go.
Or did it come from a different email?
See,
Oh, here it is. I got it. Wait, yeah, this is
Good.
the voting form.
yeah, that's it.
Yeah,
That's
okay.
the voting form. It should be a Google form. Like, um, trying to find. Where the email is. Mm. I don't see my, yeah. I'm pretty sure I got the email because I did vote today. I don't find it. I just wanted to share what the subject looked like. Do you have the email open, Tracy?
I do.
What does the subject say? No.
CDF Awards dash TOC members. She spelled, so you can look for MEMERS. She forgot the B.
See, that's because you're a creator of memes. You're there for a memer.
Top memers.
Okay, so please look for the
Memers.
email. Oh yeah. Here it is. So if you're a TC member and didn't get the email, please let Roxanne know or let me know so she can send you the link.
Yeah, I don't think I received it.
Yeah, I think the voting might only be for voting TUC members.
Anyways, yeah,
Yeah, so I think Jitin, you're like acting as a project representative, so
got it. Yeah.
probably didn't get the email. Yeah. But yeah, Jason, Mark, Steve.
And
You
I
should
assume
have
you don't
received
have
it.
you don't have convenient access to a list of who's actually voted.
A list who has voted already.
Right, right. Because I try usually to cast my votes, but I'm not finding it. I'll have to go reach out to Roxanne.
Yeah, Roxanne set up the form. I don't have
Right.
access
I'll
to
just
that.
have to reach out to Roxanne.
All right. Anything else to discuss today from anyone? Right. Well, great to see everyone. And until next time, and have a great rest of your day.
All right. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Bye.
All right, thank you.